Hello and welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole, and today I want to talk about the casters in Elden Ring, aka the mages, because, well, I have to admit something. I have played Dark Souls and the Dark Souls games multiple times. I have never played a caster in my life. So I was thinking, you know what, Mole? I think it is time to actually play a caster build in Dark Souls 3. And, well, that's exactly what I did here in the background. This is still early game, I've already finished Dark Souls 3, but, yeah, so I was playing Caster for the very first time, and the first thing I can say here is casters are powerful. This is a full-on glass cannon caster, so it's not a hybrid. Like, I'm totally relying on my mana, and I'm totally relying on my magic casts. But yeah, they're really powerful. Like when you have like your first boss fights and you're basically like five-shotting those bosses and you're like, what what happened? He's dead. What, why is he dead already? So casters are really strong. And they have some cool things going for them. But the one thing I really realized, they play kinda awkward. They feel clunky and they have multiple issues which you don't really have with a melee fighter. And yeah, of course, I had to relearn how to play a class because, believe it or not, casters in Dark Souls games and like a normal melee build are really different. Like, you have to look out for a lot of different things and you have to be careful of certain mechanics in the game which you normally don't have to be as a melee fighter. So that's completely fine, and I had to relearn a lot of things, but there's still some of the mechanics which just don't feel right, and I hope with Elden Ring they improve on that. So, let's talk about it, shall we? First things first, let's talk about range. When you're playing a caster, you might think, hey, I'm a long shot artillery guy, right? I'm standing behind, I'm using my casts, and I'm trying to stay the heck out of the range of most of the bosses. Well, that is true, but also kind of wrong, because you have to be relatively close to the enemy. You don't have that crazy range as you might expect it from other RPGs, where you are like 30 meters away and then you're using your casts. That is not really happening here. You still have to be relatively close to the enemies, and that means you don't really evade most of the combat mechanics in the game. Like, there are a lot of combat mechanics you have to look out for, even as a mage, and you have to move. You have to dodge. That is very important, and I'm completely fine with that. But I see a lot of people thinking that as a mage, oh yeah, it's super easy, right? You are just staying out of range, and then you're using your casts, and it's all easy peasy. And it's really not. Like, yes, there are a few special abilities which the boss is then not hitting on you because you're far away or further away from them. Like, there is a little bit of leeway when it comes to ignoring some mechanics here and there, but most of the mechanics you have to look out for. Also very important, even though you are a caster, you are using your stamina when you are casting. So that is one of the things I had to learn. I was using my mana and my cast whenever I could, and then the enemy came closer, and I was like, wait a second. Oh, shoot. My stamina is gone. I cannot, like, evade. Whoa. Like, that was one of the things I had to learn. But it is relatively interesting because that means you still have to manage your stamina, and you still have to evade most of the boss fight mechanics, especially when you are fighting against faster enemies who can close the gap between you and, well, the really big damage they will deal to you very quickly, and you have to be super careful about that. Also, speaking about damage, as a glass cannon caster, you are literally a glass cannon. Like, if the enemy hits you, you lose like 80% of your health. Just gone, right? Like, even as a melee fighter, in most of the cases, you can get like hit 2 to 3 times, 3 to 4 times, 4 to 5 times, depending on how much you are building on defenses, right? But as a caster, not really. Like, you were getting hit hard because you were just wearing cloth armor most of the time. So that is also very important to note. And so far, this is all fine. This is something I would even expect as a caster in the Souls-like games, right? They still want you to contribute to the boss fight, not just standing outside, managing your resources. And when you are getting hit, you are getting hit hard. This is all fine. But where they have some problems with is the mana system, I believe, or FP, as it is called in the Souls series, but just let's call it mana. You know what I mean. And managing mana feels clunky as hell. First things first, mana does not regenerate. You're not getting mana back. Yes, there's an infusion which you can put on your weapon and then you are slowly regenerating mana, but we are talking about the non-upgraded version. 1 mana every 5 seconds. Keep in mind that a lot of your casts are costing like 30 mana-ish when you use them. So it's a drop in the ocean. And you get it pretty late in the game. Yeah, you get it pretty late in the game. So it's a drop in the ocean and it's not that important. So you have to use the mana you have at hand. And that really puts you in an awkward position. So how do you get your mana back? Like, when you are running out of mana in the middle of a boss fight, and you are a real glass cannon mage, not a hybrid, well, you're in a pickle. Like, you're basically screwed. Your mana is technically your life, right? And you still have to manage your life, so it's double complicated. And to get your mana back, you're using the Ashen Estus Flask, which you are seeing at the bottom of the screen right here. And, well, there's already the first problem. So when you are a melee fighter, which doesn't use any significant of mana, you are just taking the mana or the FP you have, right? And you have like 8 Estus Flasks, 7 Estus Flasks, whatever you have right now, and you don't really care. As a caster, you have to split up those Estus Flasks. You have to make the decision, okay, I have 8 Estus Flasks in total. How many of those 8 in total do I want to be mana flasks or I want to be healing flasks? And you have to split them up. And you really have to know what you need. So it takes a little bit of experimenting. But in the end, it makes it more difficulty. And the biggest problem I have with that system in general is, let me ask you a question here. When do you use an Estus Flask? Well, you probably just thought to yourself, well, of course, when I'm getting hurt, duh. Right, when you are getting hurt and when you have to fix one of your mistakes. Pretty simple, huh? The thing is, with Ashen Estus Flask, aka the mana flasks, that's not really the case. You have to use them every few casts because you have to get your mana back or you are non-functional. You are dead, basically. So I don't like that system much, because when you are just running around with normal Estus Flasks, you are getting rewarded by playing better, right? Like, you are evading a certain attack, you are raising your shield in the last moment, you do something which doesn't hurt you or doesn't hurt you that much as it normally would do, and the game is rewarding you by not having to use the Estus Flask. With the Ashen Estus Flask in your mana, that's not the case. There is no reward. You cannot get better. You always have to use a certain amount of mana to beat the fight, to win the fight, and it doesn't feel as good. And keep also in mind, I know what you might say now, well, then take as much Ashen Estus Flask with you as you can carry. You can't do that. Because, as I said before, if you remember, you have to still deal with the boss. You are not standing 40 meters away from the boss and you are just shoot him down. You still have to dodge, you still have to look out for the mechanics, and yes, if you are not an absolute pro in this game, this also means that you are sometimes getting hurt and you have to correct that with an Estus Flask. So as a caster, it's much, much tougher to manage this whole Estus Flask balance, and I'm really, really hoping that they're finding a better system in Elden Ring. And the only reason why this whole system kind of works in Dark Souls 3 is Dark Souls 3 is one of those Souls games where you have like a lot of bonfires throughout the level. Like there's always a shortcut you can find in the right moment, or you have like multiple bonfires coming up after each other. And so it's much, much easier to fill up your Estus Flask again, right? Like it got a little bit easier in that regard. But that is also a problem I see, and this finally brings us to Elden Ring, that Elden Ring has already stated that the bonfires, I always forget what they are called in Elden Ring, but the bonfires in Elden Ring are a little bit more far and in between of each other, because it's an open world game, right? They want you that you are riding around, that you have some longer paths between your destination, and this is also why you are getting a mount, right? And it seems like they will use the same system again they have been using in Dark Souls, and I'm just hoping that there will be more ways to replenish your mana. Because again, this whole splitting up your Estus Flasks, I don't really like that. I wouldn't mind if you can just carry as many mana flasks as you can, like, carry Estus Flask with you, or they're making like certain spells more mana efficient or something. Like right now, the system feels clunky. It doesn't feel as rewarding and cool as your melee fighter. Like as a melee fighter, there are so many things you can improve to manage your resources better. As a caster, there is not really anything you can improve. Like you need your mana to cast your spells. That's it. Like there is no like, okay, I can regenerate my stamina faster, or when I dodge this boss and the abilities of them more often, I can evade some damage. Like there's always something you can really improve as a melee fighter to manage your resources much, much better, and your health, of course. And as a caster, it never feels like it. It doesn't work that way. And as I said, I hope in Elden Ring they will give you like some items which will give you ways of replenishing or even regenerating your mana. Like I know it seems like From Software is not a huge fan of regenerating resources, right? They want to have this very slow because they want you to think about your resources, right? Besides of stamina, they're very forgiving when it comes to that. But health and mana, they don't like that you passively regenerate that over time, and I can totally understand that. But then, especially with the open world in mind, I hope the caster gets some love. I hope they are reworking like some of the systems, especially as I said, the mana management. Maybe implement something which rewards you for using your spells in certain situations, right? Like, I don't know, hit the enemy on the back and get some mana back or something like that. Like, give me options to improve as a caster. And that's what I would love to see. So, with that said, we are done with the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would also appreciate if you might consider to leave a like. If you have some ideas to improve the casters in Elden Ring, let me know down below the comments on how you think about casters in general in the Souls games. And if you're new to the channel, you want to see daily gaming news, tips and tricks for new games, opinion videos like this, reaction videos to big gaming shows, you came to the right channel, and I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe to the channel. And if you ever want to catch me live, you can do so from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 a.m. ET, which is 2 p.m. UK time and 3 p.m. Central European time at trovo.live/ChaosMole. And yes, we will of course play Elden Ring when it comes out, and I'm not sure yet what I'm playing. Like, I was thinking about the caster. This is why I did it in Dark Souls 3. But I'm not sure. Like, after I have played it now in Dark Souls 3, I'm not as convinced anymore as I was before. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.